Welcome back to yet another Goof Game review. I'm Jacob, and while I usually try to review new releases, there haven't been many AAA games coming out recently. Because of this, I wanted to take a step back and revisit games that were released anywhere from last year to last decade. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been really into the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, and I've been searching for a video game to relieve that fantasy itch. So for today's episode, I want to dive into a game that I somehow have never played before. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Skyrim originally released back in 2011 and has remained one of the most popular games to date in the fantasy genre and gaming as a whole. Whether it be the deep, complex lore or the impressive open-world aspect of the game, Skyrim has certainly made an impression on the gaming community. Having played the game for a grand total of 10 minutes back in 2013, I was interested to pick it up in 2022 and see if it still holds up. After playing it for about 20 hours last week alone, I can safely say that this is a game that deserves the praise it has been given. But that doesn't mean it's without its flaws. Instead of going on and on about the narrative of the game, and because it came out more than a decade ago, I'll summarize it as short as I can. You play as a character simply referred to as the Dragonborn, who is introduced to the world of Skyrim, full of interesting creatures and dark secrets. As you enter the game, dragons begin reappearing, which is odd considering they were supposed to have died off centuries ago. You are tasked with figuring out why they are returning and what their plans are, as well as figuring out what role you play in this game as the first Dragonborn to be seen in centuries. As a fan of the Fallout series, I've become pretty accustomed to Bethesda's open-world game design, meaning that I pretty much knew what I'd be getting into before playing Skyrim. I immediately became invested in the world and all there was to do. I enjoyed the random encounters you could have while traveling between cities, and loved how you could immerse yourself by buying a house, getting married, and even adopting children. The side quests were a nice distraction when I wanted to take a break from the main quest line, and ensured that I wouldn't get bored too quickly. I could go on about all the positives the game has to offer, but like I mentioned before, the game is not without its flaws. Now, I'm not sure if this is a controversial opinion, but I thought the combat system felt very outdated. Like, really old. Instead of the fluid sword and shield combat found in the newer Assassin's Creed games or even The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, this feels very stale. Now, I understand that this game came out over a decade ago, but still. While the other games mentioned still have their fair share of issues, the combat never ripped me out of the immersion that the game had built up. I mean, seriously, how many hits does it take to kill these enemies? To be fair, the modern Assassin's Creed games have the same issue, but it's balanced out by the abilities that you can use mid-combat without any interruptions. While certainly not the worst combat system I've ever played, it could use some fixing. Luckily, however, because of the longevity of the game's popularity, modders have provided whole reworks to the combat system, and pretty much any problem you could come across while playing. While still limited on consoles, you can use mods to fix small issues or even remodel core mechanics that make Skyrim look and feel like a brand new game. There is so much to talk about when it comes to Skyrim, and it feels like I've just scratched the surface, but I wanted to share some of my early thoughts and some aspects that stood out to me while playing. So, what do you think of Skyrim? Have you been playing it since its release back in 2011, or did you just recently pick it up, like me? What do you think about it, and what mods would you recommend to someone who wants to play it for the first time in 2022? Let me know all your thoughts down below. I'm Jacob. Thanks for watching.